Good morning and welcome to another conversation with Mose. And as always, I pray life is treating you well, wherever you are in the world, and that you're one day closer to your dreams, hopes, prayers, and aspirations coming true. Today is a beautiful Sunday morning, and I decided to do a podcast, even though I was not in a space, or I felt like I wasn't in a space to do one, but I'm going to do it anyway, as you know I do. And this podcast is called A Praying Black Man. Let me say that one more time. A Praying Black Man. And of course, that praying black man is me. And I'm also going to talk about other black men who pray, or speaking to guys who pray. And again, you don't have to be black to pray, but I'm speaking to black men in particular. And again, I'm going to be transparent and be myself. And I'm not going to do a long 20-minute prayer to God, I'm not going to do that either. I'm just going to talk about what I pray for, what I'm hoping for, my aspirations. And it's nothing that you probably hadn't already heard me do, but this is different. This is very different. I've never been in this place before, honestly, but I'm writing from this place. I am living in this space right now, so I might as well get comfortable, at least for now. And I'm saying that to say that prayer has become my source of life right now. And not that I wasn't praying before, that I haven't never prayed before. But to be honest with you, I've never been in this space before. I mean, that's really what it boils down to. My prayers are different. I don't want the same things I wanted a year ago, 2 years ago, 10 years ago. And I've grown a lot. I've matured in my walk. As painful as it has been, I've grown. And the one thing I'm proud of, well, several things I'm proud of, is that it's made me less of the world. It's made me proud to be who I am and what I don't need from the world anymore. And honestly, I don't think I ever needed it. I don't need validation. I don't need approval from anyone. I know I'm worthy. I know I am valued. I know my value. And when I go to God, it's more like, help me through this. How do I get through this? I know how to be kind to people. I know the difference between right and wrong. And I've been in a lot of wrong situations. And I think the world is unrecognizable to me right now. There are things I just don't recognize. I have no experience with. So I'm going to God in prayer, asking him to help me discern what's going on. And I don't want it on me. I don't want to be involved in things that could kill me or hurt me in some way. And my spirit of discernment, I don't trust it anymore. I really don't. I don't trust people like that. And honestly, I don't even trust myself lately. The only thing I trust is that I know I'm going to do what I have to do, what I should do, even if I'm hurting while I'm doing it. I've done things with tears in my eyes, and that's kind of where I am right now, because I have no control over certain things. So I'm doing the best I can in it. And I guess you could say, well, what's going on? People probably say, well, what are you doing? Or what's the problem? It really doesn't matter what the problem is. We all have problems right now. It's about what are we doing in those problems? What are we doing about it? And I'm just honestly saying, it's hard for me not to do nothing. It's hard for me to just rest and let God do God. And another great thing is that I love being a college student. God led me to college. He led me back to school. I can't tell you how happy I am about that. It's a journey I never thought I'd go on, but I actually love it. It is a wonderful experience that I wish I had decided to do earlier in my life. I went to school though, but it was just a different experience than this experience. And God led me to that. I would have never thought I'd be in college in my late 50s and loving it, loving every second of it. And that's God. God led me there. I had no idea that's where I was headed. And it wasn't part of the plan, at least not my plan. So I trust God in the direction that He's taking me, but I'm scared because I don't know where we're headed. You know, being the Leo that I am, I want to know where we're headed, where we're going, why are we going this way, what's over there, and I'm not used to that. And physically and mentally, I have been struggling, not with school, but life. You know, like I said, I don't trust people. I literally don't. But we have to coexist with people. We have to do business with people. So I have to kind of get past that, you know. I'm not in the market for new friends. I'm okay with acquaintances. But I don't use the word friend often. I'll say acquaintance, I'll say colleague, but I don't use that word like I used to, willy nilly. You know, I'm very funny about who I call my friend. And for those that know me, you know, and I'm very, very particular about it. And I am a Leo. I am known to cut people off and go ghost without explanation. But if the people who have befriended me, they know why they got cut off. You know, there's no long drawn out explanation. There's no, you don't need to prove anything to me. We're just not meant to be friends anymore. So I'm good with that, you know, and I'm not lonely. Not at all. I don't think I've ever lived and felt lonely. I've had moments when I was alone, but I've never felt alone. I really haven't. Honestly, if I look back, I like my solitude. I like me. I know how to entertain myself, and I know how to, I love people, but I don't need people, you know, and there's a difference for me. And I've always had God. Always had God. Even when I was a little boy, an awkward teenager, I stayed in my room and listened to music, and I wrote poetry and little screenplays, and you know, I shared a room with my brother, my first best friend, and my second, next to my sister. And I never really, it was like my own little world, you know, and I got introduced to music by my dad, and it's the best thing ever. Books and music have been my saving grace. I love to read. I love learning. I love listening to music that touches me. I don't care. And then I love dancing. A lot of people don't know that, but I love to dance. You know, I love dancing. When I say I dance every chance I get, I love going to the club just to dance. You know, I love losing myself in the music, and I'm one of those people, I don't care who's watching. I dance like the world is on fire, literally. And it's like I'm listening to that voice in me, that freedom, that joy that dancing brings me. It is my prayer. It's my moments of prayer with God, because He knows I'm not thinking about anybody. I could care less if people think, oh, he can dance or he can't dance. I've never thought that way. And I'm learning that a lot of people have to be validated. Have to be. And I found myself recently comparing myself. You know, I'll be 58 on Friday, next Friday, and I found myself being hard on myself about my dad bod. And don't get me wrong, I love being me. I love the skin I'm in, but I found myself comparing myself to other men of my age and questioning my attractiveness, my value in my attractiveness. And it's like right now I want to get back in shape mentally and physically. And I'm struggling there because I'm hard on myself. And not that I'm comparing myself like they're better than me or I'm less than. It's just that I haven't been doing anything lately. I pride myself on exercising and, doing things to help me with my struggle. And I haven't been doing that. So I'm really, really trying to get back to jump starting that fire in me to exercise again and be the best version of Mose that I can be. That's all I want to be. I don't want to need to look like anybody else. I want to be the best version of me. And right now, I don't feel that way physically. And I've been experiencing a lot of financial problems that has been a little overwhelming for me. I've never again been in this space before. And I'm very transparent about that. I don't, and at this time of my life, I can't be around people at all that are negative in any form or fashion, putting me down, undermining me, condescending attitudes, holier than thou, bougie. I can't be around any of that because I will literally cuss you out. I mean, as a praying man, I can't be around that ever. Even when things get better, I'll never be around that energy again. I will definitely ghost you. It's about kindness. It's about, as much as I've experienced racism, the levels you know the stories. I've said them on my podcast, but my experiences with other Black people have been just as traumatic. Let me say that one more time. Traumatic. We can be our own worst enemy, when it comes to it. And I'm not talking about us killing each other. It's the way we treat each other in spaces, church, at the store. We can be nasty. We can be condescending. We could be downright ugly to each other. And I don't get that. And it hits different when a Black person does it to another Black person. I've had women try to put me down or say and do things to just be nasty. And my father always said it, and coworkers have always said, oh, maybe they like you. Maybe they just want to be your boyfriend, or maybe they just want to get with you. I hear that, but I've had instances at my jobs where I worked and women have tried to harass me or get me fired. And I had to pray about that. I don't come from that school. I'm come from an old school. If you get rejected or if nobody wants to be your friend, or no, we're at work. This is where I make my money. I don't go to work to make friends. I mean, I've made friends at work, but when people try to jeopardize my livelihood and my money, you're going to see a version of me that you don't ever want to see. You don't. Don't fuck with my money. And my reputation, my character, that's mine. And I'm very proud of that. I'm proud of my name, my reputation. My reputation precedes me. I am who I say I am, online and off. If you see something, I said it, I meant it, and I'm very private person. It might not seem like it, but I am. There are certain things I'll never share online. That's not for the world. My relationship, you'll never hear about it online. You'll never hear about it. Whether we break up, get married, have kids. If you don't see it, you might see pictures, but you won't get any explanation or what are they doing? Da, 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 da. That's none of your business. It's not. And I don't have to explain it to you, at all. And it's just interesting. I don't even say my partner's name. I don't. It's one of those things, some things you have to keep sacred. He's seen me go through some real live traumatic shit. That's my favorite word, traumatic. And he's been by my side. We've had problems and perfection. We're not perfect. I'm not even going to sell that either. I'm not perfect. And I can be difficult to love. I own that. I'm not hard. I love hard. And I want that back. I want somebody to love me the way I love them. But as far as getting the validation for my relationship from the world, absolutely not. I don't believe in that. I don't. I think people can look great together. And, but bringing the world into your relationship, at the end of the day, the world don't care. We talk about each other like it's nothing. But one thing you will never see me do, I never get online and put people down. Never. I've never done that. I might not have agreed with somebody's opinion. I'll voice my opinion. But in terms of degrading people, saying things about their age, their weight, their height, their disability, anything, I'm never doing that. I'm not saying I haven't thought a thought, but actually voicing my opinion, some things you should never say out loud, period. How people get the audacity to say and do things that only God can judge. And that's true. But I don't do that. And I could have been a very treacherous person. I could have done some shady stuff to people that have done shady stuff to me. And I pray every day, Lord, to keep me in a place of peace and harmony. And I pray that prayer like it's going out of style. Because I am a praying black man. And I'm not going to get on here and talk about going to church every Sunday, memorizing scripture. This is not that. This is what I practice every day when I wake up and I open my eyes. And before I close my eyes, I thank God for covering me in the blood and with grace. My family, those I love, those that are close to me. I even pray for the people that I don't even know yet. You know, people that I'm anxiously waiting to meet, hug, engage with. And he knows those people. But as far as me saying, this is what you got to do, I'm not doing that. I believe you have to build your own relationship with God. I've never understood. You can't get me into heaven. You can't. You're not the. You know, I mean, I don't understand how people feel like they're the gatekeepers for heaven. You know, I might have a better relationship with God than you do. You got to spend some time with me. And yeah, I cuss. Yeah, I'm a black gay man, but I love me some God. Believe me when I say I got a testimony. And if you've been keeping up with me, you know my testimony. You know, you know it from my books, you know it from my podcast, but I don't mind sharing it. I don't. You know, I'll say I've lost 2 partners to AIDS. 2 black partners to AIDS. And I'm unscathed. I've never been HIV positive. I've never had a STD ever in my whole life. Never had a STD. And believe me, my background is not squeaky clean. And God saved me. He spared me. I met 2 beautiful men that died. And I'll never forget it. I'll never forget that experience, what it did for me. I wouldn't be me without those experiences. I had prostate cancer in my 40s. He spared me once again. You know, spared my life. And that cancer experience, I wouldn't wish on nobody. And I always wonder, is cancer going to come back? Is cancer going to come back? I bought a house in Atlanta. It was broken into several times. People stole things from me. Black people literally stole. Broke in my house, kicked the door in, busted the window. I lived alone at the time. When I tell you, I'll never forget that. And I was never the same, and I'm still not. I can't believe somebody would break into my home. Another black person. And I knew who it was. You know, again, I got some of my stuff back. And I'm saying that to say that was a painful time to be violated like that. And I've been robbed before when I worked at a store. A couple times, actually, in my 20s. And I got through that. And I've been heartbroken. I've been lied to. I've been laid off from jobs that I thought loved my work. Looked me dead in the eye and said, you know what? Your services are no longer needed. Been there, done that. I've never been homeless. I have stayed with somebody temporarily, but I've never actually lived on the street. God has kept me all these years. I've always had a roof over my head. And I've gone through some hard times and some lonely times. I call them wilderness periods. I've been in a wilderness. Matter of fact, one of my poetry books is called Found in the Wilderness. And I'm in a wilderness period now. And Even with this podcast, I didn't know what I was going to say, but I knew I was going to speak from my heart and be honest. And someone recently said to me, it must be hard. That must be hard to be so transparent. Honestly, it's not. It's hard keeping my feelings in now. And again, I go to God in prayer for that. And when I tell you I am clinging to God's leg in my mind like a 3-year-old child, I am that little boy that's hanging on to God, telling the world not to touch me. You know, that little boy, that little girl you see in the grocery store, and you're trying to say how cute they are, and you're trying to reach out to them, and they cling to their parent. That's me and God. And I will never let God go, not for the world. You know, I'm not the perfect person. And I don't use the word Christian. I never refer to myself as a Christian. You know, and I'm sure people are probably clenching their Bibles right now. I never use that. Never. I'm a believer. I'm a spiritual person. I've seen the work of Christians. You know, I don't believe Jesus called himself a Christian. I don't like Christian people. Y'all the most hypocritical, nasty, most vindictive people. Black, and y'all come in all shades. Y'all some nasty mother cutters. And there are some good Christians out there. I do believe that. But I don't like calling myself a Christian. That's a club I do not want to belong to. You know, I'm a man who loves God implicitly. I love God. You know, and I'm going to always choose God over man. I've seen the work of man. Ain't nothing man can do for me, you know, except be kind and respectful to me. But I will cling to God until they put me in the ground. I mean, that's just how I feel. You know, even gay people can be nasty and vindictive and cliquish. And as far as gay representation, black gay representation, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it yet. There's so many black stories, gay stories that have not been told. That baffles me. But you can pull up any gay white story, Google it, and you're going to get one. And I don't care what it is. They have multiple stories, you know, and it's like, it's not about envy. It's about why is that? Why is that? Why are we still talking about Noah's Ark and gay stuff from 30 years ago? We've grown since then, you know, and it's like, why has everybody got to be effeminate or a jock? What about the guys in between? Everybody doesn't look that way. Everybody doesn't act that way. Everybody isn't cliquish. Everybody isn't into the housewives of Atlanta or whatever, the stereotypes. And I have nothing against that, you know, but it's like, where am I in that equation, in the gay rainbow? And I am the black in the rainbow. You can't see it, but I'm there. And I speak for those men that don't feel seen. This podcast is for those guys that don't be seen. You know, and it's like, again, you have a nice body, so you have to show it to feel important, to feel validated. They're not taking care of that body. They don't pay your gym membership. They don't pay for the food you do to nurture that body. So why do they get to engage with that body? That's the part. That's why my body is sacred. As imperfect as it is, you can't touch it if you can't take care of it. If you can't help me take care of my mind, my body, my soul, my spiritual being, you have no reason to engage with me. And I'm in a relationship. But even if I wasn't, I'm in a totally different place. My views on sexuality and faithfulness are so different. I'm faithful to myself. So it's easy to be faithful to my partner. My body is sacred. Let me say that one more time. Sacred. Even if my body was perfect, I had chiseled abs and I was the perfect specimen. You can't touch me. I mean, I literally mean it. My days of casual sex and casual attitudes about sex, long gone. I hate that cancer had to be the reason, but I'm never going back. Never. Never going back to that old version of me that accepted mediocrity as normal. And you should believe your body is sacred, no matter what version of your body. If they're not willing, and I'm not saying everybody is on their own journey, when it comes to sex and dating and love. But one thing I know for sure, love is beautiful, especially when you get it from somebody that genuinely loves you, genuinely wants you to be happy. And I've been blessed to have love in my life. Very blessed. Loving of friends that absolutely loved me. And they love me now. Friends that I've lost in death. Friends that I have in this life. And I do not take them for granted. I don't. I thank God for them every single day. I have a godson. I call him my godson. And one day I'll do a podcast about that, our relationship, but I've never been a biological dad, but he calls me Pops, and we have a wonderful relationship. He really is my best friend. I love him dearly, and I would do anything for him. And he knows that. And I always tell him, I'm proud of you. I love you, and how great he is and how good a man he is. And that's the other thing. Why don't we say that to each other? Why don't we say, good job, congratulations, keep going, I see you. I say it to everybody. You go boy, you go girl. I don't have an issue with it. It doesn't take away my power or my fire, because I know I'm fierce. I know I am. And me upgrading somebody or giving somebody a positive accolade, it doesn't take away from me at all. I don't mind gifting stuff to people. My partner's not really big on me giving things away, but I don't mind blessing people. I love doing photo shoots with people as a photographer, especially people that don't think they're beautiful. I love seeing the joy it brings them when they're smiling. And, I let God use me. I don't have an issue with it. I'm not jealous of other people at all. The same God that's blessing you is the same God that's going to bless me. And I know my journey is different. I know it is. It's very different than everybody else's. And like I said, it's painful. I cry a lot. I've shed many tears in my life. And I'm not ashamed to say that. And I may shed many more. I'm blessed to still have both my parents. Both of my parents are 78 years old. And I have my siblings, their children. I'm one of few friends that still have both their parents. Both my parents still live together. They still together. I can still hear their voices. They're one phone call away. And I'm grateful for that. Grateful beyond measure. I thank God every single day. My partner and I were blessed to have a wonderful dog that entered our lives at a time that I can't tell you the time and place that we met this dog. He brings so much joy to our lives. And to all those pet owners, I know you know what I'm talking about. And this podcast is meant to remind you that prayer really does work, and it really is a thing. And I want to encourage people to do that. And it's difficult. We're living in some very challenging, different, unique times. And we have to move different. Is it easy to do? Absolutely not. But I'm encouraged. Like today, I'm going to make myself this weekend exercise. I know that sounds really simple, but I've been so down in the dumps and so depressed I couldn't get up out of bed to just to do stuff. And if it wasn't for Langston, our dog, I probably wouldn't get out of bed. I'd stay in bed all day. And he lays by my side when I'm recording my podcast, and he knows Daddy's working. And I'm going to take him for his walk. I'm going to let him sniff anything he wants to sniff and do what he wants to do. And today, I'm going to come out of my comfort zone. And then hopefully tomorrow I'll do the same thing. But I'm going to ask God to help me 1 second at a time. And if I fall down, I'm going to get back up. If I fall down again, I'm going to get back up. And I'm going to fall, and I'm going to repeat that until I stay up. So I'm saying that to you. Do what you have to do, but cling to God like it's the last thing. Because the world, You don't need the validation from the world. You just need God's validation. You are beautiful as you are. But being a better version of yourself is taking God's hand and letting him walk you through the process. Just let him walk you through the process, but don't let go of his hand for nothing or no one. And your relationship with God is sacred. Don't let anybody tell you different. How you choose to worship, pray, is on you. You don't need all of those things, those trappings of that. But anyway, I'm going to get off my soapbox now. And I have to say, my grandmother said I was going to be a preacher. And I was like, Grandma, I don't want to be a preacher. And I guess in a way she was right, which makes me smile. But anyway, as always, I pray life is treating you well, wherever you are in the world, and that you're one day closer to your dreams, hopes, prayers, and aspirations coming true. Thank you for listening.